What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is an exciting day for me because I've had a car that's been sitting around the shop for probably, maybe it's been 6 months, maybe it's been a little bit longer than that. Before we moved in here, we actually broke this thing. This is my 2009 C6 Z06 Corvette equipped with the legendary LS7 engine, which had the cylinder heads, upgraded cylinder heads from Texas Speed. So these cylinder heads right here, this is a PRC 280. So this is a brand new casting, then the CNC Pueblo. It's like 285 something. They're big. They're big dog cylinder heads. This thing has a Texas Speed 2.2 cam. We call it the little big cam because not really that big of a cam, but it sounds like a big cam. Before we took this thing on Drift Week about 2 years ago, we did kind of a last minute rush. And 2 days before we were supposed to leave, we were literally wrapping this car, doing some suspension stuff, like putting on knuckles, adjusting things, putting in the radiator, and the engine was sitting on the ground, getting new cylinder heads, new clutch, new everything, basically, to turn this thing into a drift car. One of the cylinder heads, we had an issue with it. So the passenger side head was fine, it went on just perfect, but the driver's side cylinder head, which is not this one, this is a brand new one. I don't know if it was like machined just a little bit more than the other one. I'm talking like thousands. When we went to start it, we had the same push rod, same everything. We had everything set up correctly on our end, and then it just didn't have compression on one side of the motor.
So this thing runs like crap,
which was crazy. So what we actually did is if you loosened the rocker a little bit, it gained compression back. And so what ended up happening is one of the push rods on the one side of the motor were just a smidge too long. So what we ended up doing was building some kind of aluminum shims out of basically an aluminum can. We put it in there, we torqued everything down, we kind of put like 2 or 3 shims in one, and it basically just went in the little rocker, and we took it on Drift Week. It lasted 6,000 miles, I think. Eventually, as soon as we got back to Colorado, I took it to the road course. I never checked anything, I never retorqued anything. Ended up pulling the threads out of essentially these little rockers. Here, I'll show you guys this. Dump these guys out right there. So these little pieces are actually a piece of the cylinder head, like the stand, and you could see the threads right there as well. That is essentially right here. So that's where we had those little aluminum kind of shims. Nothing's wrong with the engine. Basically it just broke off the rocker stand, made it a little bit of noise for a minute. 6 months later, now we have a new cylinder head back on this thing. Basically I had to send them my valves because they didn't have any titanium valves in stock. This thing should have made like almost 600 wheel. James from Build Tune Race, he tuned this thing, did a little street tune with me. I want to drive this thing again. This thing gets like 28 miles a gallon on the highway. Maybe it'll be my new daily, but I gotta get to work. Got the cylinder head on, intake back on it, exhaust manifold on it, the alternator, all that stuff. I already compression tested one cylinder and not too happy. So I don't know what's up with this side of the engine, but watch this. This is a different cylinder. So we're gonna see if this one has compression. I guess as you could tell, we have zero compression on this side of the engine, which was exactly what happened the first time, and essentially why we made these little aluminum shims right there. Maybe I just need different size push rods, but it's just wild because I think we're using 4.3s. The other side of the engine is fine. This side of the engine is not. I'll get on the phone as soon as I can with Texas Speed, or see if there's like tiny short variation of a lifter or a push rod, see if we get this figured out. But definitely a bummer. I'm glad I compression tested it before we ended up putting the whole engine back together. As far as I know, everything is fine. It just no compression. So we'll keep you guys updated. Another day and we're back at the Corvette. Since the last video, I went ahead and I measured the push rods. We had the 8.0 or the 8-inch long ones, which were the factory, 7.775. And then now we have a set of 7.925 push rods. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in here, pull off this valve cover and see what this thing is at zero lash when we put those things in there. And then we have basically plus or minus, I think 1,000 that we could be kind of off, or that it needs a little bit of preload. So I'm excited. I want to start this thing up. I want to drive it. I want to hear it again. I want to hear the little vid cam. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the valve cover and start smashing some push rods back in this thing, see what it's like. And then I'm also gonna double check the other side, because that was the biggest issue. The biggest issue was that side of the engine was fine with the 8.0s. This side needed less. So new push rods are all installed. Everything seems all right. There was a little bit of preload, which I think is okay, but less preload than it had previously. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little compression test. All right guys, so a couple things have changed since the last clip. It's been about 2 hours. This thing just stopped cranking. Like, we were just cranking it. I cranked it once and everything was fine. And then we went ahead and I wanted to film something for you guys, filming the second cylinder, and it just stopped cranking. Like 100% just did not crank, didn't do anything, which was super weird. Nothing was working. So we finally decided to like look at the starter. Turns out it was a little bit corroded, and I wish I would have showed you guys a little bit, but you can see got all the tools down there. Basically just pulled the starter down and then used a little wire brush, kind of scrubbed a little bit, sprayed some WD-40 on it, and then now we are good to go. This is cylinder number 2. This was actually the only clip we were trying to film. That should be right about 175 PSI. That means that we should have a good run-in C6. So now we don't have any shims underneath here. I'm gonna double check a couple things underneath the car, and then we should be able to take this thing for a drive. Really excited to hear this camshaft. It's been far too long. All right, so now that we have the starter situation figured out, we're gonna go ahead and hop in this thing and see if it cranks up and see if it starts, see if it sounds good. All right, boys, it is off the lift, cleaned off the windscreen. So we're gonna fire this thing up, pull it outside, take it for a little bit of a rip. I'm so freaking stoked to have the Corvette back. Every time I drive this thing after sitting for a little while, I just don't know what's wrong with me and why I don't drive this thing more, or I guess why I didn't fix it sooner, or why I left it in Florida for so long. If you guys have not seen any of the previous videos on this thing, I basically bought it wrecked. It was technically a flood car in 2013, and then it was wrecked in 2019 or something like that. And that's basically when I bought it. We did the build for Drift Week. We pretty much did body work on almost every single panel. The only panels that were the OEM ones, the rear quarters and the rear bumper, but I did a bunch of work on this thing. I basically built this whole quarter panel from that below, replaced the doors. I did some work on the roof, did basically the whole front end is all brand new. That's not where we're gonna leave off this video. Tomorrow night, technically, or the next clip in this video, there's actually it's a local thing that they're trying to put on, which is like a little tacos and taillights thing, which is like a little kind of Thursday night meetup at our local drag strip. Plan is to bring this thing. We'll probably let Sean slide this thing around in the like little skid pad, and probably bring Jamie, let her slide it around. What do you think about that?
That sounds tight.
You like that?
Yeah.
What do you think of it? What do you think of the power?
It's wild.
Well, what did you think about it compared to your Ranger?
A lot different.
Way different, right?
Yeah. This is wild. This is wild. It just throws you back in your seat, and you can't. Like, there's no controlling your body movement. Like, I was trying hard with the camera to like hold steady.
Yeah. Well, this thing with the cam and the heads and stuff on it, it probably makes close to 600 wheel.
Yeah.
NA on pump gas.
And it's light.
It has the center force twin disc, which is like, will hold all the power. It feels like a stock clutch. It has the e-brake. It has, I mean, it's just it has the angle kit. It has the BC coilovers on it. We're gonna quit talking about it. I'm gonna load this thing up tomorrow and we're gonna take it out and slide it around. All right guys, so the Corvette is loaded up over here on the trailer. Yesterday was the day that it was supposed to be the sliding around and the drifting at the local track. I hurt my ankle. I was walking out of my house in the morning. It ended up getting worse by the end of the day, so I kind of decided to kind of relax on it yesterday and not go drift this thing. Tonight they actually are doing a little fundraiser. There was a local girl, she got in a pretty serious car accident, was in a coma for I think a day or so. So they're raising money for the family right now and they're doing burnouts for her. And that's what we're gonna do is Sean's gonna go out there and do a burnout in the Ranger. I'm gonna do a burnout in the Corvette. And then I'm actually gonna take the Corvette down the drag strip and see what this thing runs. I'm pretty stoked. I think it'll be at least a 12, at least a 12. See how this thing does. Go from there. All right, so we got the Vet unloaded. Sean's truck is out here and unloaded. And then James from Build Tune Race, he's out here as well. He's gonna be doing some burnouts here in a little bit. James, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Got my bottle filled, ready to do some burnouts.
We need to get you one of our nitrous, or NOS Rider hoodies. I think you need one.
Yeah, then I can ride
especially because you're like that guy right there.
I am that guy. At least Bernie's that guy. So, you done a burnout?
Not yet.
You gonna do a
Sean's
burnout?
gonna do a burnout, and then I'm gonna do a burnout in the Vet. I'm gonna swap
drag race it
yeah.
too? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we just got the Vet all teched in. So we're gonna see what do you think it's gonna run?
Where are they supposed to run from the factory?
You tuned it. He tuned it.
And then you broke it.
And then I broke it. Now we're back. So what do you think it's gonna run?
What tires are on it?
Some 305 NT05s, like a 200 tread wear.
You do a good burnout.
20s.
It's gonna go 12s, 11 something.
I want it to be in the 11s.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Driver mod.
Driver mod. We'll have to do the driver mod. Somebody's doing a burnout over here already, so we'll have to see how they're doing.
We are at Pueblo Motorsports Park.
That was a girl.
Yeah?
Are you gonna go do one?
No.
You gonna hop in the Ranger and do it.
I don't know how to do it.
You'll be fine. Guys, what do you think of that burnout? Kenzie,
Oh my God, you're sleeping.
what do you think of the burnout? So this is the girl who got in the accident. This is actually her car, so. Special guest that showed up out here today. Brent, how you doing? Welcome. Ready to do some point this thing at you. You ready to do some skid?
I'm ready to do some skidding.
What car is this thing?
This is a 1976 AMC Pacer. We've
like it.
named Skiddy.
Now, you want to see why?
I love the decal on the yeah, it's got the skid mark. And then,
Skid mark makes skid marks.
I like it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. What's the setup on this thing?
So this is LS. This is actually our buddy Rob that does race week and stuff with us with the yellow gasser. I bought this motor from him for my El Camino. And we put it in here. It's one of Brent's power glides from the Bully.
Nice.
It was mostly stuff we had laying around. We got a Fuel Tech ECU and harness for it.
Hell yeah.
Full Nitrous Express nitrous on it.
That's how it is. It's
a
always
stock-
like something laying around.
Yeah, it's a stock diff welded. So this is like a keyway rear end.
wow.
So these are like not that spicy rear ends.
Kind of
but
sketchy.
There's not load on
Yeah,
them,
there's not
so
load, yeah.
It's worked pretty good.
It's your turn after that, probably.
I'll go ahead, yeah.
Probably soon. Sean is going to be up next. He's going to come over here and do a burnout. If anybody wants to see some coolant leaked,
This is the thing.
This unit, huh?
This thing will get to about 280, 290 degrees, and it'll just piss, buddy.
we need to figure out a radiator. And then
I
we
need
need
a
to
bigger radiator.
then we need to hang some turbos on it, and then it'll be good.
Or zoomies. I want zoomies are just
Zoomies would be good too.
Like
Zoomies
twice
with
as loud
8
as these.
turbos.
Oh, what's his name?
Yep.
Yep.
Kyle. Boosted lifestyle.
I'm not gonna.
Him all the way off.
Yeah.
Every time he just
Trying.
gets it all the way to there.
It's a little hot there, boss.
Yeah. Hey, I would just. But it used to be 17s. What happened?
If not a little bit smaller. I didn't realize I was on complete rim on this side. You can't. I wasn't gonna stick my face out and look at it. I was just ripping.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, I gotta see the video. I was just
video.
giving her the beans the whole time.
It was good.
Just giving her the beans.
But the Mustang got me. I was coming, but he got me. Alright, so that first pass was a 12.79 at 116 mile an hour. So we actually have pretty good mile an hour. It's just getting off the line, so that was a 2,160 foot. I think I could hold the revs. Obviously that was my first pass. I could hold the revs up a little bit higher. It's nice that I have this e-brake. I think I'd hold it about 35 or 4,000 and dump it a little bit more and probably get that 60 foot under a 2-second 60 foot. And then we should be able to bring that thing down to at least under like a 12.5.
Hi, April. By the way, you have a flat tire.
All right, well, let's see. Definitely not having drag tires isn't good for it. was like getting to where it was so slick, it just wanted to go everywhere. And then I bogged it a little bit. And then at the end I put her in third. Alright guys, so that is gonna be it for this video. If you guys are stoked to see the Corvette back out and ripping and the burnout truck, you guys didn't know I sold my Ranger. Kind of want to build something more specific for burnouts, but I have so many like drift cars, they kind of work good for burnouts as well. Fastest pass, 12.56 at 118 with a 160 foot. I wish it was a little bit faster. For some reason I thought it was going to be in like the 11s, probably with a better tire and like a better launch and stuff. It would probably be a little bit better. Also, I think we need to get this thing actually tuned as well. Glad to have the Corvette back up and ripping. I kind of don't know what to do with it. It's such a good car. Just drive it. Drift week, something like that. But I appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next one.